Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. I do hope you're having a good day. This is the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode 57. I had the immense pleasure of having Ashley Cartwright on, who is a director of media at the Disney Company. She's worked on over 100 films, some like big name franchises, some award winning franchises. We talked about her journey, basically getting into film and the marketing side of things. And we talked about a number of different topics as well. Yes, so please sit back, enjoy the podcast, and I hope you have a great day. Peace. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. I do hope you're having a good day. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Oh, today I have on the podcast a Miss Ashley Cartwright. Here we go. She is a director of media at 20th Century Fox Slate at the Disney Company. My God, I got to say, very impressive. How are you today?
I'm great today. It's Friday and I'm having a great conversation with you, and so it's off to a good start. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine. Yeah, reason why I brought you onto the podcast today, it's I don't really sort of come across that many people who sort of make it into the lofty heights of media like yourself. Like from like looking through your profile, you have gone through it and you have seen many things. I think there's not much you haven't seen in this world of media. So how did you get started with it all? Because you went to University of California in Los Angeles, and how
Yep, I'm a Bruin, UCLA.
Bruin, okay.
So born and raised in LA and went to school here and kind of set my roots and stayed here, right? And
Mm,
Hollywood is where I grew up. And so the entertainment business and movies have always been part of my life. Not only did I used to go every Friday with my dad, we
mm,
used to really, really get into it because he worked in advertising too. And so it was kind of in my blood to get into this industry. It just came really naturally to me. And so after college, I like 2 months after graduation, this opportunity came up to work at Sony Pictures on the digital marketing team, on the creative side. And I was lucky enough to have a friend recommend me who knew that I wanted to get into that field. And
mm.
so it was great because I had the interview and they were looking to hire rather quickly. And so right out of college, I was fortunate enough to work at Sony on the digital team, which was really exciting for a young Ashley. Granted, at UCLA, I was a dance major. I was a technically a world arts and cultures major,
Yeah.
which studied the art history inclusive of dance at UCLA. And so while my studies weren't necessarily marketing or the industry of media, everything I did extracurricular wise had marketing in it or had media in it. And so everything I did outside of schooling really fueled that fire. And so, yeah, I started at Sony. I worked there for a little under a year. I learned the ropes of what media really meant there, right? Like
Mm.
every kid goes and says they want to work at a studio on the marketing team, but there's so many facets of what that means, what falls under marketing. And so that's where the start was.
Mm. Yeah, I find it very interesting. You pivoted from art, like being an arts major, into marketing. It's just like going, yep, I'm dancing, I'm dancing. Yes, I'm a tree, I'm not a tree. It's like going, and you're like going, yeah, you know what? I've decided I'm going to go into marketing. Did that
Yep.
surprise many of your, like many of the people you attended university with?
No, it didn't. I think because again, a lot of I'm not gonna say I am a overdoer, if that's the word. I take on a lot. And so in college, I was a part of many organizations, whether it was student council or pediatric AIDS coalition or, you name it, I was part of it. And on all those boards and all those positions, I was always like the marketing lead or like the media lead. And so everything I did was still in that realm. So it wasn't a surprise, especially because of my love of movies. And so it was just, people were shocked that I kind of pivoted so quickly out of college from no dance straight into film. But I think I was lucky enough to do that because a lot of people don't have that opportunity.
No, like this is the thing. I would say there are lots of people trying to find their sort of direction, especially after university, and sort of like just jumping. How can I say? They sort of don't go necessarily the path they want to go. But for you to like go, you know what? I've been doing marketing like for everyone, and then they're like, and their dog. I like doing it. Come on, bring it on. And to do it in Sony digital marketing, that is quite mental. Like in digital marketing, what were you exactly doing? Because I've heard digital marketing, then I think, were you doing just social media stuff? Were you doing what? Were you making ads? Were you doing like, you know what I mean? Interactive campaigns. It's so broad, if you get what I mean.
It is. Yeah, I think so. This was in 2012, 8 years ago, when digital marketing was starting to really kick in. And so I was doing things like reading scripts and coming up with games or coming up with what the website should look like when studios had websites to drive to, and like what interactive activities should be on that website. And then I was doing things like, we'd have these big TVs and it'd have the feeds of Twitter and Facebook, and you'd have to scour through when there's a trailer launch to create the sentiment. So now there's obviously vendors and companies who can use technology and pick up the words to organize it based on sentiment. But that was my job of like, all right, these people said this and that's positive. This is neutral. This is negative. And so in trailer launches or any content launches, like that was some of my job. And then a lot of it outside of social was really working with the media teams and like how to promote and amplify the things we're making. And so that's where my curiosity for media came up, right? How all of these assets that I'm working on, whether it's a game or a social post, are actually being broadened out to the world. And so that's where, as I sat in those meetings, I was like, wait, this is a vehicle in which everyone distributes or receives this content, and this is where you can get really strategic and start to reach the masses. And so that's kind of where the shift happened from marketing into my media role when it comes to Universal McCann on the still Sony home entertainment business, but on the agency side.
Yeah, well, this is the thing with being 2012, that's like pretty much the real start of the first sort of social media wave as they would go. So I imagine there was departments like going, not too sure how this really works with one another, but I can imagine it was quite an interesting time. Ooh, I don't know. Have I lost you again, Ashley? Ooh. Oh. Having one or two technical difficulties, my friends, my life warriors. Hopefully, Ashley will pop back up any second now, and we'll be able to continue our chat. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Don't worry, like these things happen. Internet connections are not sometimes what they are, but nevertheless. Yeah.
Yes, we persevere. Sorry.
Absolutely.
So we left off your question that we were at the brink or the start of digital marketing. And so,
yeah.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, basically it must have been a very interesting time because it was the start of social media and basically sort of digital marketing and basically home entertainment was going through a shift at the time as well, because I'm not too sure when Netflix did the sort of big ultimate like shift from posting out stuff to actually streaming stuff, but that I think was all coming together around about that time.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting and exciting pivot for digital marketing. It was this whole new realm of ways to reach people that was all the rage, right? Like it was this new platform, this really exciting way to engage and understand how people were feeling about your trailer with the like button or the
Mm,
share or things like that. And you were getting a lot of metrics to help you further build out your campaigns. And so I think that was definitely an exciting time to be entering the marketing industry. And then from a home entertainment standpoint, it was a moment where digital downloads and streaming of a film versus the physical disc
mm,
started to become more and more important. And people were starting to lean into digital, so to speak, in multiple ways, whether that was marketing or their social engagement or the way that they consumed entertainment. And so during this time and my tenure working at across the Sony home entertainment business, you really saw the shift of the importance of digital, and then you saw the shift to the importance of data, however you like to say it. And so
data.
it was just gradual transition into what digital is today, which is still growing and changing. And
Mm,
so it was really fascinating to be on this journey, this ride of growing and pivoting and shaping what the digital marketing landscape was like in real time. And so
mm.
that was exciting, difficult, but exciting.
What was some of the key things you felt you learned with that era of transition?
Great question. I think a couple things. The first was the maybe not rude, but like blatant awakening that digital always changes. It's never the same, not even day to day. And you have to be quick and nimble to keep up with it.
Mm,
It is an industry that doesn't sleep, that's forever evolving, and there's always something to learn. And so that was the first thing of realizing, okay, in this field, you have to stay abreast of everything. Like there's a new thing about something every day. And
mm,
so remembering that was part of being good at my job. And then it was learning all the data attribution and ways to learn and be better and get better ROI on what you're doing. And so it was digging deep as to how to understand that. So pixeling and figuring out what partners can track and how to like hash data and make sure it's anonymous and make sure it's clean and make sure the match rate's strong. And that was a big part of the start of not the Sony home entertainment business for me, of being at the forefront and being a leader and understanding how all of that works. So
mm.
that was a big piece of the digital media transition to being more data focused, that we're still growing and learning and figuring it out, right? There's still multiple ways and multiple partners and vendors and things to learn, but
Mm,
that was I think the biggest moment of learning.
mm. Yeah, like it's interesting that you say like data is not the same, like basically on a day to day. And like I look at it as a consumer, and with regards to like our like global lockdown as what's happened, seeing how the whole sort of industry is scrambling to pivot and change, like basically, uh, with with the Disney company, Onward was the first film they went, okay, we're just dropping it as a rental straight away. And Universal, one of the few companies you have not worked for,
I know.
yeah, they are really sort of doing a major sort of push now where it's like they're going digital first. It's like I know this might not be an easy question to answer, but being in the mix, how do you think? like companies like just like Disney you're working for, or Universal, or basically Warner Brothers might be looking at the future with regards to sort of marketing and digital?
Yeah, that is a loaded question, right? And I'll give you my personal opinion, just because obviously I don't know what the future holds with all of those companies, with Trolls for Universal and Scoob with WB and Disney with Onward having opened theatrically but gone and shortened the window straight to Disney Plus. And so personally, I'm I'm one to believe that companies need to evolve in whatever way that needs to happen, right? And so I think if the moment was right, which it definitely seemed to be for Trolls and Universal to go the PVOD route, that that was a huge success. Obviously, they made a lot of money. It's a family film. People are at home. COVID is happening. I think that was probably a smart move on their part. But also, it's at the risk of whatever relationship that they seem to not have satisfied. And so I think there's a balance, right, between understanding what the standard is and evolving into what that might look like in the future across all parties, not just the studio, but also I do think, our exhibitor chains maybe also need to evolve, right? Like, in my personal opinion is, why isn't there like a digital streaming platform for AMC? Like, maybe you make that a distribution instead of like a Vudu or a Fandango or something like that. Like, maybe there's ways that everyone needs to start going to the future of theatrical viewing together to figure it out versus it being this fragmented thing. And I know this has been a long journey of understanding what the theatrical window is versus home entertainment and what the white space is in between and how long we wait. But I do think COVID has put us in a place where we have to think a little bit differently, especially as it's so uncertain of when things will reopen. And, we're playing the kind of wait and see game, which is difficult for people whose jobs are future planners. And so when there's no future to plan or uncertain future to plan, it's really
Uncertain.
tricky. Yeah. Let me clarify. Uncertain. There's a beautiful future ahead, but it's just uncertain of how we're going to be able to navigate it. And so I think it's a case-by-case basis. You have to do, again, the research, know the data, understand how people are consuming, what people are consuming, and what the opportunity is. Because like with Trolls, right, it was rented. And so you have kids who want to watch it over and over and over. And so you want to rent that almost $20 movie 4 times. And that's way more than you would have spent at a box office for a family of 4. And so I think it's all about understanding what the upside and downside is and managing those relationships and growing. And something that a quote I love from Pablo Picasso that kind of leans into the art and the science of like when is the right time is learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. And obviously me being a dancer and me coming into the industry, it's like you got to learn the ropes. You have to know what the foundation is, and then you got to break it and innovate a little bit. And so I think that's what everyone is doing, not only in our entertainment industry, but across the board. They're really stepping outside of, the lines and coloring outside of the lines, I should say. And yeah, it's exciting to see. It's a interesting transition.
Yeah, no, the transition, I've got to say, definitely it is an interesting transition. And with that transition, I look upon it and I see there's going to be sort of great opportunities ahead. I think there might be a slight strain with some relationships with like AMC and stuff like that. But with regards to sort of strategies companies will be taking in the future, I don't know because I'm not in the mix, but you know what I mean. I think online at home is definitely going to lead the way, because even if they open up cinemas and major places tomorrow, I think the appetite is not going to be there to go in just yet, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's something we're paying attention to on a daily basis, and where that data comes in, like that crucial data comes in again of who is most excited, when are they going to feel most comfortable,
Mm.
what type of film is going to make people go to the theater. And so those are things we're paying attention to, and I think, you know, everyone across the industry is paying attention to, of what the reality is given COVID and these closures. And I think I cross my fingers, and I'm hoping, because obviously that's my job, and I want to get it back going again, and making sure people have the joy of entertainment when it comes to movie going. But again, safety first, and we don't know what's going to happen, and so it is an interesting time.
Indeed, indeed. Like, one of the things I find interesting about your sort of career, how you were going along, you after you sort of went from being a digital media supervisor at like Warner Brothers, you went on to Fox, like basically film, TV, and sports. That is like, how was that like? Because that's like quite a considerable jump into three vastly different arenas. How did you manage to balance that?
Yeah, so when I went over to Fox, I was actually solely focusing on the film
Mm.
theatrical section of it all. And so
Uh,
I didn't really tap into the TV side too much of things. But we did work closely with those entities because we're all part of the Fox umbrella. And
mm.
so when it came to theatrical, we really worked with our family members and partners like Fox Sports and television to blow out some of those campaigns. And so I still kind of stayed in my wheelhouse of the theatrical release. Don't get me wrong. And so it, as you can see across my resume, my portfolio, Sony Pictures, Warner Brothers, 20th Century, and now Disney, I really, I seem to like the studios. I obviously have a soft spot for film. And so to your point, there's only a few I haven't worked at, Universal being one, Paramount being another. And it is interesting crossing and going to these different studios and understanding how everyone kind of plans differently. And obviously the product and the films are different across all of those slates, but it has been really exciting and rewarding to see under the hood of all these companies, because they play such a huge role in our industry, and they deliver content for different audiences. And so it's been exciting and rewarding indeed to work and see these different companies and be a part of these teams of different and really talented people to put out product that um, kind of scales or is on a spectrum of different types of content. So that's been really, really exciting.
Yeah, like basically, like as you mentioned just now, under the hood, because look, I like I'm a normal civilian when it comes to my movie going, everything like this. Like, as like when you went from being a civilian to being involved in the industry, what was like, was there any sort of like big sort of like oh moments, or what was the thing which like sort of like struck you, which was particularly interesting to see behind the scenes?
Oh, I think one thing is like so I'm an entertainment consumer. I love going to the movies, but I guess based on how I've learned to understand the rabbit moviegoer or the ultimate fan, I
Mm,
guess I'm not there. And what I mean by that is with marketing, there's moments of Easter eggs and connecting the dots and like making the core fans feel like they're seen with special content. And there's these like breadcrumbs that marketers leave to lead audiences to excitement. And
mm,
from being, I'm an entertainment fan, but like that was never the way to get me to a movie. Like if I saw a trailer that I liked, that's all it took. Like I didn't need extra little sneak peeks or behind the scenes or cast interviews or Easter eggs. Like that never drove me to the theater. And I said that was an aha moment of how much work and how
Yeah.
strategic and clever marketers are across all divisions and business units, whether it's publicity or digital marketing or creative or media, of how every little thing is connected and how there's little clues and little, breadcrumbs again to lead you to more excitement and more engagement for a film. And so that was really shocking to me, because maybe I'm just a an easy consumer. Like maybe I'm easier to satisfy with the good trailer. And other people need more work. That's a fact. Other people do need more work. But that was a big moment of aha.
Oh, that might be painful if there's a particular film you want to see, and if you're laying down all of these clues, it might give away the ending of the film for you. That's like
Yeah.
I don't need to see that.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Like, I mean, there's moments where there's fans and they're like, "You've given away too much," or like, "Now I know this," or like, people are the super fans are really collaborating and craving that content of understanding and learning more about the film. But I think I want to be so surprised.
Mm.
I want to just go in kind of blind and just experience it instead of knowing all these things about a film going into it personally.
Mm. No, I get that. And like this is the thing, I think with certain films, the most really being like very, very upset. Like one of my favorite films, Usual Suspects, back in
Oh,
the day. Like,
yeah,
yes,
good one.
like yeah, when I watched that, I was like, oh my Lord, how could that be? How could that be? Oh, that's like going, no. I walked out of the cinema like
Caught you
going,
off guard.
oh yeah. I think anyone who says, yeah, I worked it out, I saw it coming, liars.
Yes, no one is. No one is.
Oh
That, I
no.
mean, and if you did, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So if I was working in a position like yours and I was like, here's the clues. Oh no, I would have been mad. I would have been mad. Honestly, I would have been toys out of the pram. That's like, no, no. I'm penning my
yeah, that's like,
resignation.
yeah. I mean, it's fun when you work on those films where there's so many twists and turns, and your audience is going to be so excited or so thrown off
Mm,
by whatever twists or ending happens. And so I think that's a fun part of the job. I mean, there's many fun parts, but that's an exciting part when you have the goods, right? And so it's like you're like rubbing your hands together, so excited for opening weekend, because you can't wait for the reactions, because it's going to be an exciting and a good one.
yes, no, like this is the thing. Like, were you involved in the Marvel films at all or anything like that? Like, did
So I was not involved in the Marvel films as it comes to Disney. So obviously the Disney acquisition happened at 20th Century Fox in 2018. And
mm,
so I was still, excuse me, and I am still working on the 20th slate, but I have worked on some Marvel films when it comes to X-Men and Deadpool and Logan. And so maybe not in that Avengers world, and Iron Man, who is, I love, he's my favorite superhero. But I did have the pleasure of working on Logan, which was an amazing film with Hugh Jackman in this kind of final days of Wolverine, which is this Western take on it, which was really, really amazing to work on.
mm,
And then Deadpool, which Ryan Reynolds, super fun, right? It was the
yeah,
most fun I've ever had working on a campaign, because you just kind of got to do these out of the box unsuspecting things, and Ryan is so
yeah,
willing, if the idea is right, to participate. He is a brilliant marketer in and of himself, and so
mm,
being able to have him as a filmmaker on Deadpool 2 and really kind of being able to ideate and not hold back was really, really exciting. Something in the Sony days that my colleagues used to say that I say all the time or think of all the time was this notion of, in a meeting, you'd raise your hand and you'd say, dare to suck. And so essentially you're giving yourself permission to give a bad idea, but it's daring and it was bold. And so you know, say like,
Yeah.
dare to suck. I have an
Yes.
idea, I dare to suck. And that's where it allowed you to be comfortable with maybe not saying the best thing.
Yeah.
But I felt like Deadpool 2 and that planning was a place where you did that a lot. Where you're just like, well, what about this? Or what about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, because with like I'm most really wrong about this, but didn't it win an award for the marketing for like Deadpool and Deadpool 2?
Yes, it did. That was a film that delivered on lots of awards and marketing campaign successes. And so I think the first one, while I wasn't there, that team was there for the second one, and we kind of took that success and reapplied it and reimagined it for Deadpool 2. And again, it was another campaign that just delivered on the goods of funny and unique and clever and out of the box ideas. And so that was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing, like it, I always, like when I heard the announcement of the Disney Fox like merger, the takeover, like there was a smile what came on my face because I was like, yes, Marvel's all coming together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I sort of did a little dance for that, and I thought that's what I would will it to happen. And like the sort of changeover, like to sort of merge everything, it must be a very sort of interesting time, fun time, with regards to some of the changes going on. So like,
Yeah, I mean, two major motion picture companies that have a lot under the umbrella have merged and come together, which in and of itself is uh, a huge, huge undertaking, in my opinion. Like it's just, it's wild to think about these two big successful companies coming together, but it is exciting to put it all under one umbrella. Like you think of the breadth of the Disney portfolio, where you have Lucasfilms and Marvel, and then Pixar, and then Disney Animation, and then 20th Century, and it's crazy the breadth of of the catalog, and owning over 30% of the marketplace when it comes to films, and like almost being on top of yourself, right? Like you're just like, okay, what is this calendar? These are all Disney films. How do
yeah,
we make it work? But it is really exciting. It is this kind of rush of, wow, I not only, I mean, my mom and family loves this, that I work at Disney. My littlest nephew is like, oh my God, like you work at Disney, like, do you know like Mickey or like all these things? So it's great to work at a company that is obviously so well loved across the world, and to be under this umbrella of huge success and like so many different business units, whether it's ESPN or Freeform or ABC or like you name it. It's just it's such a major company to work for. And so, like I said, peeking under the hood of all these companies and then getting to Disney, which is like the biggest hood you can look under,
yeah.
is really it's really amazing.
Mm. No, I got to say, yeah. Like one of the things I would be curious of, like if you could do the marketing for any film, past, present,
Oh,
or future, which film would that be?
oh wow. Oh, that is really difficult.
Look, look, look.
You
You
put me
love,
on the spot here.
hey, you
I have to
love
think about
film.
it. I
What would
do
it
love.
be?
Okay, um, wow. Think I think I would have to go with, oh, this is so difficult. I think I would have to go with The Dark Knight.
Ooh, Nolan Dark Knight. Okay.
Yes. So
Why?
Christopher Nolan is my favorite director.
Okay.
So I'm so excited for Tenet. I almost said Inception. Maybe I wouldn't do Inception. Um, but Dark Knight, I just remember was a movie where it was just, it took the traditional, I like superhero movies. I love Avengers and DC Universe and those action packed films. And that was a superhero movie. I think where it first transitioned into this different version of a superhero movie. It
Yeah.
was darker and different and serious and in a lot um, in a lot of new ways of viewing a superhero. And so I think being a part of moments where like filmmaking shifts or turns things on its head is really exciting to me. Like that's why I like Logan so much because it
Mm,
was a twist on how X-Men are usually viewed. And that's why Deadpool is so fun because that's a twist on how, you know, a superhero is viewed. And so I think that would have been an exciting one to work on, like inclusive like of Joker or you know Venom or all these different character
mm.
stories of superheroes that are off the beaten path. And so I think that one would have been really interesting to work on.
Ah, Dark Knight. Marketing for that. Fantastic. No, no, like this is the thing. I'm now like remembering that Dark Knight and going, yeah, oh, love that. But, but the whole thing is Dark Knight, it wasn't a Batman film, in my opinion. It was like a Joker film. So it was like, yeah, it's like, hey, Joker, right.
Yeah,
It was the only way you could get it
yeah,
done. So it's like, okay, yeah. I respect that.
yeah.
I respect that. Like, yeah. So superhero films. Like this is the thing. I do love my superhero films, and I do love what Marvel has done with regards to the Infinity Saga. Like from when it started, when I first watched the first Iron Man, and then they had that little snippet at the end. I was like, they're gonna do more. Then they did the Incredible Hulk, and I was like, this they're going to actually do this. And then just seeing how they patiently moved it forward bit by bit, building it to pretty much a very good, like exceptional ending. I was like, yeah, very impressed with that. But, oh, excellent.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. It was a journey for sure. It was a journey. And when you talk about bird's eye view and pulling back and seeing the full picture of what the Marvel universe looked like, especially when it comes to Avengers, you really have to see the vision, you know, and it's impressive. It's impressive.
mm, mm. Like, I'm like, no doubt you must be a fan of the Boys TV show.
What was that?
The Boys TV show.
Oh, The Boys. I actually didn't watch The Boys. That's on Amazon, right? Amazon
Yeah,
Prime?
you got to watch that. Yes, let's just say
Okay.
it is a dark take on what superheroes would be like it, with regards to if they were definitely sponsored by a corporate entity. That's all I've got to say. Is like, yeah,
Okay. I'll have to give it a watch. I was just talking to a friend of mine about The Watchmen, and I haven't seen The Watchmen either, but that's another I think superhero off the beaten path show or film that I have to get my eyes on too.
mm, yeah, indeed. So if someone like, for example, if there was someone who wanted to sort of get into your realm of industry, basically, what would be some of the things you would say to them to sort of like go, this is what you need to do?
Yeah, I think um, the first bit is understanding all the available opportunities when it comes to marketing. Because fresh out of college, you just hear marketing and you think it's TV commercials and billboards, right? And like
Mm,
that's your idea, your simplified, watered down idea of marketing. But there are so many different verticals and avenues within marketing, whether that is media, like what I'm doing, or publicity, or, digital, or field marketing when you're doing activations, or, partnerships where you're working with different brands to bring them into the film. And so it's understanding what's available under the marketing scope. And for media specifically, it's my recommendation to start at an agency. It is the place where you are inundated with information and you have to learn so quickly, move so quickly. You are exposed to everything at a rapid pace, but you really do learn, in my opinion, all that you need to know going into your future career, wherever that may be. And so learning about the different agencies and what clients and brands they represent and how to get your foot in that door is a step in the direction that I think is the best when it comes to my industry. Now, if you can get into the studio side of things, I think that some of that is about, who you know, and so networking and going to those events, whether it's like college career day, or if you're out of college, like going to the industry events and just meeting people. I think that is also a way to break in, just because people, when you know people, they go a little bit further for you. So networking is key, in my opinion. And then also just being bold in a room. So if you have a job and you think you want to transition, and you see or meet or hear or have an idea, it's just kind of being able to be bold and come to the table and speak up and like dare to suck. It's like be willing to maybe not say something that is off the beaten path, because that's what's gotten me so far in my career, having worked at all these places. I've been in the industry for a little 9 years, and I know, like I say it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, 9 years. And that's what's really gotten me to where I am. It's just being able to be, fearless is my word. Like I just kind of like, I'm just gonna say it. If it doesn't make sense, at least I said something. And so being fearless is definitely a way to stand out in this industry, just because it's filled with really smart people, and it's filled with a lot of innovative and strategic people. But the way you stand out, the way, in my opinion, you get ahead, is kind of being a little loud and being bombastic, right? And making sure your presence is known, is because, again, everyone's incredible when they enter the industry, the media or entertainment or marketing industry. And so just making sure you stand out.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, with regards to like daring to suck and like basically standing out in a crowd of very like intelligent people, it sounds like it is a tough industry, but like a very rewarding industry at the same time. Like, would it be like, what were some of the sort of greater challenges you found when you were like starting out? Say, yeah. I don't know what happened there. It just paused, like you froze, it paused.
Wait, it was the universe saying we needed a little break. So.
Yeah. I was like just saying, like with you in the start of it, what was some of the bigger challenges you found sort of getting into the industry for the first time?
I was very fortunate to had been very vocal about what I wanted in college, that when my friend, her name is Ashley Buxton, shout out to my sorority sister, Gamma Phi Beta.
Gamma Phi Beta.
She knew what I wanted to do and was just a saint, and heard about the opportunity and recommended me right away. It was like, give me your resume, let me recommend you. And it worked out. And I think not everyone has that same opportunity. I was very fortunate, and timing worked out, and I had someone in my corner from the beginning. And so that was really great. And that's something I want to make sure I'm doing for people under me as well, like being in their corner, because it is helpful to get your foot through the door. But if that didn't happen, I think something I recognize that is so important is if you can internship or like go to these companies, and like a lot of people have been doing this lately with me, is like LinkedIn search people that work at companies that you think are of interest, and just connect and have a dialogue. Like I've had a few conversations with some students at both UCLA and USC, and they just found me on LinkedIn, and they're like, these companies are the places I want to work. And now they're in the back of my mind of, if there's an opportunity, I can reach down, I can pull someone else up. And I think it's about doing the research and understanding the industry you actually want to get into, and just being brave enough to reach out and connect, just because that is the way to understand what's out there, who's out there that wants to help you. And so again, I was fortunate enough to have someone who was lifting me up at the right time, and I want to make sure and other people in our industry in a position that, in the executive positions, do that for others.
Oh, no, I think it is important to sort of, like, if you take a step up, turn around, give your helping hand to another, because I think it's one of those things. It's If you're just all about the self, it'll get you so far. But if you're all about a bigger entity, a community, that'll make you, like, your position and everyone else's position, that much stronger, better, the way I see it. But yes, sorry. Yeah, my voice.
Celebration
Yeah.
voice.
Oh yes, oh yes. So, with regards to sort of some of the aspects of the future, like, what do you feel like? What do you see as the future of, like, sort of digital marketing, and sort of how things are going to go over the next few years for yourself?
Yeah, I think because it's ever evolving and changing, and with streaming becoming the behemoth that it is, and data being at our fingertips every direction that you look, we're just going to get better and better at delivering content and entertainment to fans in whatever form they wish to receive it. So I think our industry will continue to adapt to what consumer behaviors are. Maybe it's a little bit slower because the freight train we're trying to move was on this track for so long that it's going to take time to turn it a little bit. But I think it's going to be a wild ride of trying to follow the fragmentation of where consumers are, especially as you get to Gen Z and younger and younger. Like, they're consuming on so many different platforms and at the speed of light, and you just have to figure out where they are and how to reach them and create content for every platform. And I think that's already been something that's shifted in our industry, especially when you think about like broadcast networks, where before it was just the TV, the set-top box, and now it's like we have our FVP and we can stream it, and then we have it on mobile, or you have like a Quibi doing mobile only inventory or content. And so I think it's going to be this race to get it right constantly, to be where the consumer is and leverage all the data that we're using to understand and pivot to where we need to go. I think hopefully we'll get ahead of the game at some point, and so we'll be able to predict a little bit better what the trend is going to be. And so the way we follow the behaviors will be the trend will guide it versus catching up and following it. That's my hope as a marketer and an industry executive, of like being the one to decide where the eyeballs and the attention needs to be paid. But I think it's going to be a wild ride of change and evolving for studios as we come out of COVID and we understand how successful PVOD is, and we understand what people want to view and what content is exciting or not.
Mm, indeed, indeed. I think with regards to after after we come out of lockdown, COVID, I think it's going to be a case of if they can send out about 4 or 5 real big, heavy hitting blockbusters to really get out there. Like, yeah, do that, and I think the people will return bit by bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, again, Christopher Nolan fan here, and Tenet in end of July is, I will go to the movies. Like, I will, even though I'm very nervous about COVID and like I don't want to be next to other people
Yeah.
and I don't want to risk it, you know, myself getting anyone else sick. I love his films. It's a theatrical experience. And so I think, to your point, I 100% agree. If you have the goods, if you have something that fans know you have to see in the theater, I think people will break and go. I also think people are unfortunately breaking now, right? Like people are like, oh, I need to get outside. Like, just give me something to do. And so I think hopefully that'll carry over into movie going and not just like restaurants and bars and things.
Indeed, indeed. Let me ask you this. One of my last few questions. What is your favorite film at this present time?
I knew that was coming. Oh my God. What is my favorite film? Okay, I'm gonna do my favorite film to have worked on, and then my favorite film to have watched, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
My favorite film that I've watched is The Prestige.
Very good film. Very good film.
It, again, Christopher Nolan. I have an obsession. It is. It was just. I was just so amazed by the plot twists and the surprise of the film. I was just not expecting that. It took me on this journey. I mean, obviously great actors. You had Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, two of my favorites, and they're amazing in it. But it takes you on a journey. All of his films do, I think. And you just get caught up in these characters when you kind of forget that you're watching a movie. You're kind of lost in this world that they created. And then it just, I won't give anything away, but it just like hits you in the face with this like twist. And you're like, wow, I would have never expected that. So that's my favorite film.
2 twists in that film. 2. It's not just one.
2, yes. 2, you're right. Really, it's great. Now I'm gonna have to watch that this weekend. But that's my favorite to watch. And then to have marketed, I've marketed like over like 125 films, which is crazy to think about. But I think my favorite, and this maybe is because of recency as well, but I loved Bohemian Rhapsody. That was so much fun to work on. I love Queen and love Freddie Mercury. I think Rami did an amazing job of portraying him. And when I first saw footage of the film, early days, I was like blown away with the energy that I got from viewing it. And it was just little parts, and that kind of built up my excitement to work on it. And the creative was so fun. We got to work with, the band members who are still alive, and we got to use all the music, and we got to play and be fun and colorful. And it was just similar in that Deadpool vein of, what can we do to make this fun? Like, this is a band that people know and love. Some people don't know why they know and love them because they're younger, but they know of Queen, they know Bohemian Rhapsody, they know, We Will Rock You, and all these songs that are loved across the world. And so that was, I think, my favorite campaign to work on ever.
Excellent. I've got to say, when they did the concert bit at the end, it was quite captivating. Sort of like seeing Freddie Mercury's life, warts and all. It was like one of those things you kind of knew some of it, but you never knew all of it when you saw that.
Yep.
It's like, yeah. And the
Yeah.
Prestige, I got to say, um, definitely, definitely a film which is definitely worth a watch again and again and again. And the twists
Yep.
which come out of it, you just like, and it kind of sort of sets you up to like, oh, you remember that bit? Yeah, okay. It's
Yep.
like, but,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
Uh, uh, would it be possible to tell people how they'll be able to find you out there in the big wide world if they want to ask questions about marketing for the film companies or, well, take part? How would they be able to find you?
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn. You can search me. Ashley Cartwright is the name, and feel free to connect. I'm on social media, of course, like most people, but it's kind of consumed my life nowadays with COVID. But yeah, Ashley Cartwright on Instagram. Ashley with 2 or 3 Y's, excuse me, and Cartwright with 3 T's. And yeah, if you have any questions or just want to connect or get to know me more, I'm totally open. I'm a social butterfly. I love people. People are my hobby, I like to say. So yeah, reach out, connect.
Excellent. Ashley, thank you once again for coming on. It is much appreciated. I do hope we work again in the future. And yes, uh, thank you. And I'd like to say
Thank
thank you.
you.
No, thank you. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's managed to stay with me in the podcast. And Ashley, my voice is just hanging in there, barely. So I say goodbye. Have a great day. Be awesome. Be excellent. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world. And then some. Hey, and I say peace. Oh, yeah, we are